Streaming. All right, the stream should be on. All right, this thing is again misaligned for some reason. Hello, hello. Yeah, so we'll also wait a few minutes. Okay. Hello. Okay, we'll wait maybe 3 more minutes. Okay, so I guess we can start. Whoever joins later, they can watch it from the start. There was something I had to do, yeah, to record. Manage recording. Good. So, hello again. We are in day 2. Today we will talk about version control and a brief into the Unity interface. Yeah, let's start. So I think it will be on the shorter side today, but you know, I might just wander through uh, the very depths of Git and version control and everything. We'll see. Let's start the slideshow. Okay. Let me do something here. Good. So let's start with version control. And I know this might sound like we're talking too much about theory and too little about practice, but I'll try to do both at the same time somehow. The slides, of course, only show the theory, and I'll go into like a folder and I'll show you how everything works. But in a nutshell, version control lets you have checkpoints in a way for your work. So like in a game when you have quick saves and you can go, in some games have quick saves and you basically press a hotkey, a shortcut, and you save that instant, and you can go back whenever you want. Like, and in some games, like you can see all of your checkpoints and you can go on any checkpoint. Version control is very similar to this. So yeah, when you work on a very complex project or even a very small project, it really helps to be able to use version control and save your work incrementally, so you can be free to mess with your project, and like you shouldn't be afraid of breaking something. Like you should have maximum freedom, just like a child. You just play with everything, break stuff, see how it works. You don't need to be careful or anything like that. um I mean, yeah, especially for like offline games when you don't connect to a database or something like that, where you might delete, some accounts of your users or something like that. But yeah, and that's what version control is, and there are many many benefits to it. Like the obvious one, you can go back in time whenever you want on your project. There's also a backup component to it, because um, a lot of version control systems are easily integrated with online providers, where when you finish like a feature, you finish a, a functionality for your game, or maybe you even just fix a small bug, just maybe it's a line of code, but it's very important. You press commit and then you push it to an online repository, and then your laptop or desktop or whatever can just explode, and you can lose everything locally, but you still have it there online, and you can retrieve it from anywhere in the world, you or anyone else. And that's like the power of Git. um I was surprised to see a lot of people, even people with many years of experience, they are not using it, and it's pretty interesting, like how far some people can go without using proper version control. And like I was very impressed that they could do that. They just have a folder, and some of them use Dropbox sync somehow, and some use like Google Drive sync, and other solutions. But that's like, it's using a tool that was not made for this. Yeah, there are other tools as well, like Subversion and Perforce, and but when you're just beginning, Git is like everything that you need to know. And even for me, with like, I don't know, 11 years of experience with Unity, um, I'm still using just Git, and it's really powerful. Like, it's simple enough. It's not the simplest one, but it's simple enough to get started, and powerful enough to just ride along with it for your whole career, in my opinion. Um, and what's more, I don't even know how to use it on command line that much. Like, I know just the basic stuff. I'm using a GUI, just a user interface for it. And yeah, I basically got proficient in that tool, and I'm using it for all of my projects. Um, as you see in this image, um, like if you like movies with time travel and like parallel realities and parallel universes and stuff like that, like it's exactly like that. So you start from a point like let's create a folder, for example, right? So I've already created a folder here, and I can start like Visual Studio Code. Where is it? Where is Visual Studio? Oh, here. And let's see, new file, text file. So um, let's see something like print. And this is just like it's let's say it's like Python programming. Let's just keep it simple. Let's save it somewhere. Test. Let's see where. Let's see desktop. And in desktop, I'll go into untitled folder, and it saved it here. And this is my file. Now, I will just keep it very simple and basic. So you've created a file, right? And imagine like this is a Unity project, and obviously it will have many other files. But in order to like create your Git repository, you would like in Windows you would use Shift and right click, and on Mac it's I don't know something here, yeah, like this thing probably, or this thing, or I have to go back and but in Visual Studio Code you can. And remember, I was saying like yesterday, we will need the Visual Studio, not Visual Studio Code, at least for the course. But like Visual Studio Code is versatile. You can do everything in it. Like it's a very lightweight, and it, think of it as a text editor on steroids, right? And yeah, you can do a lot of things with it. And let's see if I can start. Yeah, it's control and tilde or tilde, and you start terminal. But on Windows, it's shift and right click, and you see open PowerShell or open command line in this folder. So click on the folder. Yeah, and on Mac it should be somewhere. Yeah, you'll do just right click on the folder and new terminal at folder. Actually, let's do it this way because it's simpler. It's and basically you do, if you don't have Git, you have to install it. And on Windows, there's a a proper installer, or not a proper, it's like a visual installer. You just Google download Git and you'll find it here, right? This is like one of the first things that I install um when I have a fresh OS, right? When I install iOS. Um yeah, and let's go back. Let's go back. So let's see. We have like this test.py, and we do once you install Git, and on Mac you do just brew install Git, I think. But yeah, I mean, I hope it just doesn't. Yeah, well, it takes. It should have. Oh man, round 0. Well, anyway, like I hope you just said something like you already have Git, and anyway, good. Git init. That's what you have to write, and you initialize like an empty Git repository in whatever this folder. And now you can do Git status, and it shows you interact files test.py. And don't worry about this because I never use Git on command line. This is just so you can understand what happens behind the scenes. So you will, I mean, if you want to keep it simple, in a way, it's simpler to use the command line because you can use it everywhere, but some people just don't like it. And it's also in a GUI, in a visual program, you can do a lot of things faster and you can visualize them better, right? So like we initialized a um a folder, a Git repository, and what that does is, and it's not visible now. I have to do something like, where is it? Something with a dot, like on Mac it's command and dot, command shift dot. Yeah, it's command shift and dot. And on Windows, you have to go into folder options, like, folder options you'll find in Windows, right? And show hidden files. That's what you will want to enable there on view options. And you will see this. So Git init created this hidden .git folder in our repo, in our folder. Yeah. And you don't have to worry about it. This is just Git's own thing. I don't even know what these things are. So, I mean, I can guess, but yeah. And like there's a general convention, which is an awesome convention where files and folders that are starting with a dot, so it's .git, have the implied connotation that they are kind of hidden folders or folders that aren't meant to be shared, not necessarily. And I think Linux and for sure Mac like hides them by default, and you have to do like Command Shift and dot, right? And on Windows, there's I don't think this convention is available. Like you'll probably see the folder, but I'm not sure. And yeah, that's what it did. And basically, we don't yet have a checkpoint. I think your current branch does not have any commit. Yeah. So basically, we don't have like a quick save yet. We haven't even started in a way. I mean, yeah, we started the game, but we don't have a quick save. I'm using this analogy because I like it. I find it easier. So yeah, we modified, like we created the test.py and we do like git add all. That's the easiest. And the dot means everything in a folder. And add means just start tracking the file, right? And when you press git status, these are the files. And this is the file that the Mac creates. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We will be able to ignore it later. Don't worry. So yeah, we added this file to version control, and now we can create a commit. Let's remember. And if I do this, so basically what this does is it creates a commit, and I think I don't have to do this git commit because I've already added the files. And the next step is to create the commit. So like creating the checkpoint has two steps: git add and git commit. And you do on the git commit, you write it like this, and M stands for message, and you just can call it first commit. Let's see. Okay, nothing to commit, working tree clean. This means that since the last save, there's no more changes, right? Git log. And when we do git log, it shows the commit with this ID has been created. This is the author, and basically why it knows that I was the author, and this is like an ID that you can use from GitHub without like sharing your real email, but also showing the activity on your GitHub. Yeah, and the reason it knows, I basically did it like this, like git config get email. Let's see, git config. I don't remember how it was, but you basically can set your yeah, don't worry about it. You can set your email and your name, if I remember correctly, and it's for your whole computer, right? And so you can whenever you commit something, automatically assigns that commit to a certain email, whatever you want. Yeah, and it shows you the date, first commit, and don't worry about this. Like you will be able to see it in a visual GUI later, which is like much clearer. But yeah, that's our first commit, and let's change it. Like let's change the file, and we print hello, and let's like do x equals like 4 plus 5 plus, or y is 2 and x is 5 plus y, and you print. I think you cannot. Oh, let's see. Maybe you can, but anyway. So yeah, we print 5 plus y. And let's go, and we can do it here as well, because here the terminal in VS Code, which you open by control and tilde, I think. I don't remember. I knew it. Oh yeah, yeah, control and tilde. Yeah, control tilde, and we do git status. Oh, it's not in the. Okay, that's weird. Yeah, basically we were not in our folder. That's why it said when it has spaces, we have to put double quotes. Yeah, now git status. And it shows changes not staged for commit. Basically, here you'll see all of the files that we've changed, removed, added, and oh, okay, that's why it didn't open the folder. Yeah, you trust the authors. Okay, and now when you open with control and tilde, it should, yeah, it comes here. Let's create another. Like you can use the option or control or whatever. I don't remember how it's done on Windows. I think it's control. Yeah, and we can do like I don't know, test two. Very creative. And another creative text. Hello too. So we've modified the test file and created the test2 file, and git status should show these files. So basically it detected that the test.py file, which is tracked because we added it previously, has been modified, and a new untracked file has been created that git doesn't know about, and it shows it separately and it says, man, this is untracked, and just it even says here git add, so you can add it. So let's do that, like git add, and we just add all of them, like all changes, git add and dot. And now, I mean, let's do git status. Now all of the changes were added to the what they call the staging area. This means that you're preparing, like you're acknowledging the changes. You're acknowledging the changes to be committed, like to create the checkpoint in time. Remember, there are two steps. So the first step is to add all the changes and then to commit them. Um, in a GUI, you would just commit them directly. It's a bit easier in a way. Um, so let's create the commit. Well, added. Let's say it this way. Yeah, fixed the bug in test.py and added a new feature. There's no rule for what you will write here. This is just for you to know what the commit was about without browsing the code. So just, but there's kind of an unwritten rule to keep it simple. And when you commit, to commit often and small amount of changes, a small amount of changes. And this is especially useful when you work with other people because they can pull your changes faster and they can see them like sooner and they can interact with you on those changes. Like they can um say tell, like they can say you shouldn't do it that way because I've already done it, or like we shouldn't go that way, or maybe they will be they will need your changes sooner so that they won't be working on something similar. Um, Basically, the more often you can update your teammates, the better, right? And that's why we commit often and with a smaller set of changes. And I mean, I break this rule a lot, but I try not to. So yeah, it's a guideline. So new commit was created. So git log to show all of the commits. And let's see, this is yeah, the most recent commit is the first one. This is the commit, the author, the date, what was the message, and so on. This is the first commit that we've done. This is the message and so on. And I can have tens of thousands of commits. So and of course there's the concept of a branch, and I haven't discussed that really well or at all. Um, by default, Git creates a branch that was called master, and now it's called main for political correctness. And head is basically the current universe, if you want to call it that way. Like if you think of branches as different timelines, you can think about the head, um, like the current universe, like where your computer is at this point, or more exactly where your folder is, right? What's in what reality and point in time in that reality it is, right? Um, Good. So you can have many branches, of course. You can create a new branch, but um, I don't even know if I can do it right on top of my head here in command line. Um, yeah, and this is like you create commits, and you can do like let's do another change. And this is how you can do two things at once. Um, yeah, we have 3 commits. And let's say we want to go back. Maybe we did a mistake. We didn't want to do this. And I mean, yeah, you can just delete it and create another commit, right? But let's uh, let's just go to this commit, and I think the way you do it, on the command line is git git checkout, or yeah, well, I don't quite remember, but I will show you briefly how you can do it in the visual one, which we will cover later. Repository, add or create. Let's see, desktop, untitled folder. Don't show again. So you see here, this is the visual way. Like this is the visual uh, it, the visual tool for seeing like the Git repository. And yeah, this is our latest commit. And let's say I want to go here, and I will just do reset, and just I select this, and I'll do a reset. Do you want to reset the head to commit whatever? So remember, the head is our current like where are we looking at, right? In the like chronological timeline, like on the timeline. So we want to go back to this commit, and we move like the head to this commit. And what this does is like makes this commit like makes our local folder the same as that commit, right? You see there's the test2 is not there anymore. And it's pretty hard to lose things in Git because there's a lot of ways to recover things, right? But you have to be careful anyway, right? So we've reset it, yeah, the branch to that, but we can go here in log, and we can look at our commits, and you see it doesn't show that commit, but we can go here to recyclable commits, check it, and you'll see it here as well, right? And I think if you double click it, or no, you have to like reset maybe again to it. Like you can go like back, right? And it's again right here. So imagine like you have a tree of branches and a tree of commits and a lot of things happening, and you go switch from one to another, but yeah, it doesn't really help to think too much about that now because we are just getting started. And I just want to show you that you can be really powerful with Git, and it's like the only version control system that you need. In your project, you would just have like a linear, because you most probably will be working alone at the beginning, and you'll just have a linear history of changes, right? You'll have like a lot of these things, and you'll just change something, create a commit, and push it to GitHub. Create a commit, push it, create a commit, push it, and so on. So you'll have like a lot of these checkpoints here. And yeah, that's basically that's how your process will work. Good. So this is version control. Yeah, and I mean, just briefly, you can see here like this is like the main branch, right? And like there are changes that are happening here. But if you're working with someone else on the same repository, you kind of you branch off of this main branch, and you're working separately on something until it's done, so you're not affecting like the main branch. And it's really easy to think about it just like reality in a way. Like this is like the main timeline if you want to think about it that way. And like you want to build like a machine or something that's very scary, and you might blow up the whole world or something like that. And you're creating it, testing it, and only when you uh tested it and you see that nothing bad happens, like you merge it back into the main reality, right? And then it's safe and everyone is safe, and you also don't pollute the main timeline with your checkpoints, because uh, everyone just cares about a single change. Like when you merge it back here, you only see the differences between all of your changes and the last checkpoint, right? People like shouldn't really care about how you did your incremental like your progress here, because maybe you create something here, maybe you revert it back here, then put it back again here, right? And those are just unnecessary details. And Bob as well does the same. Like he branches 2 commits later and does just a very small, maybe a bug fix or something, merges it back in. And Bob can also maybe start from here as well. Like you can work in parallel. And that's why thousands of people, hundreds maybe of, I don't know, let's say like tens of thousands of people can work on a product. That's how Facebook works. That's how Google works. Because there's so much work to do that you can parallelize a lot of stuff. And yeah, it's pretty beautiful. Like if you have some rules put in place and you um have just your boards of tasks, you uh distribute the tasks, like you do that, you do that, you do that, and you don't overlap in functionalities, then everyone works on their stuff. And of course there's always like conflicts. That's how it's called in Git. There are file conflicts when two people modify the same file, and then you want to merge it back to the main branch or main reality in our analogy. You have to figure out the conflicts, and it sounds scary, and there's also like some red colors there in the GUI um, programs about them, but it's not that um, it's not that like scary. I mean, it shouldn't be, because like the other person knows what they've done and you know what you've done, and you just have to see like um, where you have to use parts of your code and where you have to use parts of their code. I will show you later, I think. Um, but I think you don't have to worry about that for this course. Good. Let's do the slideshow again. Yeah, and I kind of talked about this part about this. What I didn't talk about a lot is this git push. So yeah, you're making changes on your local machine and you do git add, git commit, and in a visual GUI, you will do both of these at once. Don't need to worry about them. And there's also the push button, let's say, or you can just write git push. And what this does is it creates a repository. I mean, it doesn't create, you already create the repository on GitHub, and you, oh, no, and you do it like this. So you're here and you do remote add, and you'll go to GitHub and you'll create a repository, and you'll just add the repository here. And yeah, there are some like ways in which you can like you have to put your password and so on. Let's do that now. Let's see. Let's go to GitHub. 1 second. So github.com. So that's why I said if you already have an account, that's perfect. Let's create like a let's create a repository. So new repository. Let's do it like test. Description, you can have it private, public, whatever. You create the repository. And you see this URL here, you copy it. And you do remote add. I know I haven't told you like how you install Smart Git and all that, like it will be a bit later. But just bear with me, like yeah, you can watch again like in the recording of this stream, but I'll try to also go over this again later, but just quickly now. URL path add. I have to put my master password if you have set one, and you have this output here, and you have to go to window output. Yeah, so you can see it, I think. Yeah, window and output. This is very useful. Like, I don't know why they don't put it by default. Yeah, I added the remote repository, and now I push the code, and look here, you see it turned into, like, it removes the orange color, and it shows you that the main branch that you have, it's equal to origin, and this is like symbolizes that your branch is the same as the one that's on GitHub. And if you go there and you hit refresh, you'll see your code here, right? And you can create any number of repositories. They can be private, like this one you see here, or public. And you can also like modify files here if you want to do it really fast, edit this file and whatever, right? Yeah, so this is how you save your work, and also this is how you share your work, because if you put it on public, you can invite collaborators, or you can allow people to fork your repository, which means this is like another level of creating like a new reality, or like they can take your repository at this instant in time and clone it to have it on their account, and then whatever changes you do, their copy of your repository is not affected. But they can still get changes from your repository if, for example, you fix bugs or whatever, right? They can still get those, and it's this basically GitHub started as a way to share your work. And for example, if I create a very useful tool, I might want to share it with the world, but also like you can even think about it like, I put a tool there that was useful for me, and other people can use it, and they can like they can get value out of it, and maybe they will contribute back with bug fixes or features. Maybe they will improve the tool. So it's like it's a very strong sense of community, and a lot of projects started this way. For example, Bitcoin, and a lot of plugins for Unity, a lot of tools, websites, applications, so on, started here on GitHub. And of course, there are other websites, not only GitHub, for storing your code, but like this one is the most popular right now. And yeah, this is GitHub. And of course, you might be wondering, how does this work? Like, how does SmartGit know how to use that um, URL, and how does it know how does Git know and accept my computer to pass keys, right? And the way it works, you go here, you go on SSH and GPG keys, and you add a new key, and you put it a title, and this is a key that identifies a device you're using, a desktop or a laptop or whatever. And basically what you will do, but I don't know if I can do it right here because a I already have a key. Yeah, let me just start a new terminal. Basically, I'll go to my home folder. Actually, it doesn't matter if I'm on my home folder. You have to create a public or private key. 1 second, let me. All right. Okay. Hello, Andre. Uh, okay. Um, good. So basically, the way you can create this is um how can I simulate this? I have to think about it because I don't want to replace my own key. Let me create a new window. I think it's called SSH keygen. Enter the file in which to save the key. Yeah, actually, I have to Google it, right? So, okay, this one. And on Windows, I think it's the same. Let me cancel this. On Windows, I mean, not I think it's really the same, but you have to install SSH keygen. So you do like Windows install. I think it's open SSH. Install the ultimate guide. Install open SSH. Yeah, and you basically go through the steps and you install it. Should be pretty simple. No man. Open SSH. Yeah, you'll basically install it from here. You'll look it up. But basically you'll be able to type SSH or SSH keygen, and you do like -t RSA, and that's like the size, I think. And it asks you where to save it, and this is the default location, and you should like use that location. I'm using like a new location just for the sake of example. Um, and that's like the name. This is the file that will be created, ID RSA. So you don't have to do this. You'll just press enter, and this file will be created for you, right? And you can enter a passphrase or not. I think like you can just, yeah, empty for no passphrase. Enter, enter. It saved it, and I can go here now. Where are you? Well, yeah. Let's see. .ssh. Where are you? Have to refresh. Let's go back. No such file or the. Saving key. Oh, because the directory doesn't exist. Yeah. Yeah, basically I have to create a directory. I mean, I can go hit there and like right click new folder and so on, but I can do this as well. Okay, now let's try again. Okay. Where should we save it? Here. Okay, and it generated it. Okay, and we should see it here now. This is it in your like home folder. And on Windows, it's like see users, your username, and this is like the folder, and you'll see them like SSH. You'll see it here, and like this is your private key and your public key. And I mean, I won't go into like cryptography and all of that, but basically this identifies your computer, and you can you'll use this key, the public key, to put it on GitHub, so that when you push code to the GitHub server, they will know that it's you. So this is if we want to do this, basically you will need to write your password each time you push, or like uh, there's a checkbox to remember my password and stuff like that, but the proper way to do it is just to use private keys, right? And you open this, open with text edit, and you see it here. And this is your public key, and that's why it's called public, because this is like a signature, right? And this identifies your computer, right? And you like you can share it with everyone. Yeah, and then you put it here. You put it on here, like my laptop, whatever. It's just an identifier, right? And you add a new SSH key, and you have to like two-factor authentication, whatever, blah blah blah, right? I won't do that. And basically, after that, your GitHub account, and not only that, but all of the organizations that you are a part of, are can see, or not can see, can you can contribute to your account or to other accounts that you manage or are part of, like organization. You see, I have like two organizations that I'm part of, and they have like their own GitHub account, but I manage them, and so I can also push code there, right? So yeah, now you know how to add your public key to your GitHub account. And that's like one of those things that you do only once, right? When you like you uninstall Windows and install it again, uh, you do this thing again, or you get a new laptop or a new desktop, right? Um, Good. So I can put this aside now. Let me. Okay. And let's go back to our presentation. Yeah, and that's what git push does. And of course, git pull pulls changes. So for example, if you if someone else changes a file, and let's do that actually. Let's do that again. We go to our repository, and let's say we work with someone else and they have to change this thing for some reason. I don't know, right? Or whatever, just a message. Committing the changes. And you can see now we have 4 commits here, right? See them? Bam, bam. Yeah. And now here, what you can do, you can see locally, we don't see them, but what you can do, like you can long press on this and do like fetch all. And what that does is it fetches all of the changes, but it only fetches information about them. Like it doesn't update your folder, your local folder yet. You just see what changes were done. And you can see here, like this is your branch, main, and the origin, which the origin is just like a name for this URL, this. So you can see this, the URL, and you see this less than sign, and that symbolizes that there are some changes that your local main branch has to pull from the upstream. And yeah, you can see it here as well. It's like a puzzle piece. Like this is your branch, local branch, and this is the origin. Some changes were done there. And when you do pull, um, you you don't need to worry about these options here or everything. Just pull, and you can see that they will, like, your main branch goes here and just fits the puzzle, and now it's the same as in the remote. So that's how you collaborate with other people in the ideal scenario, right? Because real life it's a bit messier, but we have to start somewhere. Yeah, so that's how you pull changes as well. Let's go back to our presentation. Good. Yeah, the version control took a bit longer, but yeah, it's pretty important because, like I said, there are a lot of people that have many years of experience and they don't use it. And it gets really stressful because if you don't use it, because you're afraid of making changes to not break stuff. Like it's like it's inconceivable not to use version control. Um, Good. There's also this thing called a git ignore file. And I mean, to make your life easier, this guy created git ignore files for a lot of frameworks, tools, options, and you see it has 160k stars, which is a lot. It helps a lot of people. And there's Unity somewhere here. Like it's just a guideline. Your Unity ignore might be a bit different. It's 3 years ago, so yeah. And this is like the file. And what this does. So let's go back to our folder here, right? I mean, we can see it right here. Let's create a new file, and we have to call it .git ignore. And what this does is it ignores some files from Git. And this is very important for Unity because you have to only commit the minimum amount of files which represent your project, and we shouldn't commit files that can be reproduced from other files. And for example, we have these files here, and let's say they let's say we're on Windows and we press build in Unity, there's a button build, and it creates an exe file, right? It creates an exe file, right? This thing we shouldn't commit to the version control, because this thing is like a derivative of these things, right? And it means we are duplicating information, and it's also redundant. It's also heavy, makes the repository load slower, and it's basically unnecessary complexity and overhead. And the Unity folder has also lots of these things. Like there's a folder called library, and this is like a fancy way of specifying, like, okay, it can start with a smaller case L or uppercase L. There's a temporary folder, obj, build, and other like SLN files. and like APK for Android builds and so on. And yeah, we will just copy this thing or copy it like this and go into our own gitignore file, and it has to be called like this, gitignore. Yeah, save it. And now, like, if we create, let's say we create, I think exe, it's already here, right? Exe should be here. It's not. Yeah, we'll have to add it manually. But let's like change it to game.apk. Like this is like a build for Android, the older format. And let's do, oop, not git status. Yeah, and we have to add the gitignore file itself to Git so that we keep track of it and other people see it, because this thing is like per repository and it should be shared so that on your machine Git will ignore these things, but on other people's machine it will not ignore things. So we have to push it, and this is like an essential file, right? And we like add it, and I can show you how you can do it also here, right? You select it, and there's a shortcut. It's Command K or Control K for Windows, and I mean you can also do it like this, like commit, add, git ignore, and you can not only do the add and commit in one step, but you can also do add, commit, and push into one step. You can do it like this, commit and push, right? And you can see it here on GitHub. Bam, it's here. See it? And now, like, well, first you'll create the Unity project, and then you will add the gitignore file. But it's good to know where you'll find it, where you'll find this file. Good. Let's go back. And yeah, Git doesn't save you from yourself. So also try to do manual backups. So, you know, go to the Finder. Where are you, Finder? Go to go to Explorer, Finder, whatever. And untitled folder, and do like Control C, Control V. Yeah, I have to see how does that work. Probably I have to, yeah, with Alt or Control in Windows. Like, yeah, backup, right? You have like, yeah, like a backup, right? At the end of the day, or I mean, I don't do this anymore, because if you push it to GitHub here, like you cannot really delete this, right? You have to go to settings, and in the danger zone, you have this delete repository, and I want to delete this repository, and yeah, unexpected bad things will happen. So I mean, there are a lot of steps to delete something, but you might do it nonetheless. So I mean, as a newbie, you can also do like manual backups if you want. Or you cannot use Git at all if you want for your first project, and just make regular backups like this. But yeah, I mean, it's your choice. Let's change. Let's. Okay. Good. That aside, let's go back here. And yeah, I won't go into this a lot, but it's basically a way to collaborate with people, and it's not for everyone, and it's for a bit projects that are a bit more complex. But yeah, basically you have your master branch, which has represents distinct versions of your software or game in this case. And like you have version 0.1, 0.2, like 1.0 when you like have a official launch or whatever. And yeah, I don't know if I should go over this to not. I mean, I can talk just briefly about it, and you can just go later. You can go back here and uh, just listen to it. But it's basically you have a develop branch where all of the action happens, and you have feature branches where are you see there are like timelines. You see time in that direction flows in that direction, and these are features like all of the activity happens here, or this is like the development. That's why it's called develop. And in our case, master. I mean, when you start, you only have one branch, and especially if you're work alone. And it's master is actually the main branch, and you just do it directly here. Once your project gets really complex, you start to like have use like a model like this, like Git flow model, and there are all other models as well, where you have like a develop branch where features are and I mean changes are created here, and when somebody has to implement a new feature, they branch off of this one, creates a new branch, works on the feature, then merges it back into the main like the source of truth, like the develop branch. And you see another person took branched off of this one, works on a feature, commits, then time changes, time passes, and they do all other changes. You see a lot of things happen here, but they are like probably working on something really big. And what they are working on, it doesn't go to the next release, which is this one on master. They are like two versions behind because the feature is too big, and they only merge it back here, right, in the like the second release. And the release process in this in the Git flow model, which is here, and it was first posted by a guy here in 2010. And he also notes here that it's not for everyone, because there are a lot of people that were saying, man, this is not good, it's too complex, whatever. But he basically clarifies it that, man, this is not for everyone. This is for bigger projects, and yeah, it's not a panacea, right? Yeah, I mean, another component here is like you do changes, fix bugs, and all of that. And at some point, the team says, okay, we have to release. And they branch off of the develop, and they start the release branch. And they just test things, change like the version number so that in your game, in the options, you see like the actual visualization of your version. It's literally version 0.2 instead of 0.1, and other processes, and like maybe there are some bug fixes that are done directly here, and so on. And once those things are done, they merge all of the changes back into develop, because this is like the source of truth. And they also merge it to the master branch, and like the build starts, and it's uploaded in all of the platforms, like on Google Store, like on App Store, on Steam, or whatever you're using, right? And yeah, that goes to the players, and the development continues in the background, the same as before. And this is another small release. And like there's another concept that's very easy to understand, like what that's called like a hotfix. So these are some things that are so important, or yeah, there are so they are critical fixes for the game, that um it's so important to do that they don't even do it on develop. They don't branch off of develop and do it here. They branch off of directly the last. So imagine we are like here in time, right? and this is the last version that released. So they branch off of this commit directly, and they fix that thing. Maybe it's just a small number somewhere that messes completely the game, and they fix it here, and they release a patch version immediately. Right? This is a new release, and this is now from this moment onwards. This is like the last release, and then they of course merge it back to develop, so that those who are working on the game in the background also have the fix. But this is like a distinct way of fixing things that are very critical, right? So as to not interfere with this whole process, because that is a bit more complex. Yeah, I mean this won't help you in this course, but I'm putting it here so that you can have it and you can use it later. Like you can come back to this video and watch it, and because it's very useful. And I worked in many companies where they didn't have a very clear process for this, and it was always different, and a lot of people were working on it, and instead of like 5 people that could have done or oversaw this process, there were like 20 people, right? Like unnecessary effort. That's why it's good to have a process. But yeah, in our case, you will have just this master or develop the doesn't matter how you call it, but it will be master, or in case of GitHub or Git, it will be main. Where just commit a single timeline. And yeah, smart Git is smart, so you don't have to be, and that's why I'm using it. This is smart Git, so you'll Google it, you'll install it, and it's free for personal use, and the license is very cheap, and they didn't sponsor me or anything. And there are other GUI programs that are good. I just stuck with this one because it works for me. And also Visual Studio Code has a extension called GitLens, which is free. GitLens. Where are you? Maybe. I think I already have it installed. No, I don't have it. Actually, GitLens is to give you, I mean, yeah, you don't need GitLens, but it's good because it supercharge your Git. In Visual Studio Code, you can see your branches here, right? This is your branch, and you can go in source control, and I don't know where. Yeah, there's something. I don't remember how I can see those things. Maybe I do need GitLens. Oh yeah, yeah, you do need GitLens. And basically now you can see the commits. See them here, branches, which is main branch with the commits, and yeah, contributors anyway. But these are the most important ones, like the branches and the commits. So yeah, you can use Visual Studio Code as a visual GUI, and a lot of people use it that way, and yeah, it just works for them. It's easier when you like push. You can do like, this is the button for synchronization. This action will pull and push commits. Yeah, this is like an even lazier way of synchronizing your work. Like it will try to automatically like pull new changes and push your changes so that the remote repository is exactly the same as your local repositories. And yeah, I don't usually do this because I want to have like full control. I first pull changes, review them, maybe solve some conflicts, and then push my changes. Yeah, push the new changes. Yeah, you understood. Yeah, I pull the changes, then push them. Good. And it asks me for the passphrase, which I have none. I have no. Okay, yeah, it's a bit harder. You have to put a passphrase basically. But SmartKit doesn't complain, so it works out of the box. Um, yeah, to this day I know very little about command line Git, and like I said, license is cheap, and yeah, basically I've already kind of showed you how it works, and you see I have here a lot of other branches, and they are exactly like these branches here. Like I have like the develop, which is the main one. Yeah, develop like is the most where most of the action happens, and these are like feature branches where I want to like have a separate, like go and try something like in a separate reality, and I don't want to mess up with this main code here, right? I just want to try it, see it, if it works, work on it there, and then merge it back once it's completely done, right? Um, and that's what these branches are for. Um, yeah, and you can see here, let me try go to the log. You see here, for example, I can see the commits, and when I committed the change 2 to 3, you can go here, no, and you can see it like, okay, you see this 2 was changed to a 3, right? And I also added like a new line here. Now I have 7 lines, right? It detects all of the changes, and that's very cool, and I like it. And here, for example, you see there's like a tag list, whatever. I added like a new XML child to this list. Um, yeah. So yeah, this is the files tab here, and basically you can see the untracked files, you can see the modified files. Uh, basically these are the files that were added, these were modified, and basically you also see files that were removed. You'll see them here. Let's do that now. Just let's say I remove this test file. And you can see game.apk doesn't show here, right? Because we have it in git ignore. We have it here, like this symbolizes that all files with whatever name, if they end in .apk, just ignore them. Don't because they are builds, they are just artifacts of our code. They are derivatives of our code, so we don't care about them. Yeah, and you see it says missing. So now we can commit this change, basically like we commit the change that we remove the file, right? Commit and push, and we'll see it here. Yeah, so it disappeared, and we have 6 commits in total. And I know this is like sounds like talking too much about this thing, and like you might want to see more about Unity, but don't worry, there's a lot of time for that. Like version control is very important. It's like I'd be even surprised if it what I've said today is enough, but hopefully it is, or hopefully it's like a good starting point for you to look more into it, so you can use version control more efficiently. Yeah, let's go back. Good. So this is like the file view, and it's this view here, this here, right? Um, let's see next. And yeah, these are the branches, and you can see it's kind of and this is in SmartGit here, and if you press log here, so you see it's like at the top you'll see the latest ones, and at the bottom, you know, the older ones. And you can see like I kind of work the same, like I create the commit, then I kind of want to separate the work somehow, and I do it like in another branch, and I work on this, and then I merge it back, and I work, and then see here, like I'm working on 2 things at once, like uh there's like a branch that's, or yeah, there's a branch that's a feature like update Discord, which is like updating a third party package. But at the same time, like I'm working on this new BTC Pay endpoint, right? And I work on this, I work and I merge it here. And then while I'm this branch, I also, before I am done, I'm seeing like, okay, there are some new changes on this branch, and I pull them so I can see if there are no conflicts, and then I merge my changes. But you don't have to do that, like at least not as part of this course. But it's really really good to know. And sometimes it's good because it, you can see the features developed directly, right? You can see that, okay, this branch represents SSS allocation and others. Yeah, that's like a group of changes that I want to somehow show in the history when I look at the folder, right? Instead of just seeing like a straight line and with no like grouping of the commits, right? And this is like a way of grouping commits as well, right? Or I don't know if you can call it like a folder of commits, but yeah, it's a nice way to group commits. And yeah, like this is the side-by-side comparison when you see a file. And I don't know how I can, yeah, I can do it like this. Let's see, test copy, change to tree. Like you double press it here, the file, so you select the commit and you double press the file and you see this big thing and you see the changes here, right? Like this thing changed from 2 to 3 and so on. And here you see like I've removed this part of the message because it was redundant or something like that. And this is like a comment in the code, like basically a piece of code that is not executing. Like on Python, you put a how this called? I don't remember. Yeah, you put this symbol here, and yeah, this is like side by side comparison. And yeah, alternative GUIs, Visual Studio Code plus Git Lens extension, which are free, which I've showed you. There's also Git Kraken, free for public repos only. So if you want private repos, you have to pay. But it's nice. I used it at some point. It's really nice. Source 3 is free. It's completely free. It's a bit simpler last time I checked it, so it's not like a smart git. It's a bit simpler. And fork as well, I don't think it's free. But it's awesome as well. And I say, yeah, stay away from GitHub desktop. This is a Git GUI that's, I don't know why they've created it, but yeah, it's really not, well, I won't go into it now, but yeah, just don't use GitHub desktop. It's an app that you download, and it basically it's made to replace these options and smart gits. It's very limiting, and it's, I don't know, you might find it useful for a small project, but if you want to just use it, start using a tool and use it for the rest of your life, just use one of these ones here, right? That's like it's easier. Just use the good tool from the start, right? Yeah, and I mean I've already talked about GitHub, so this is pretty clear here. It was created in the spirit of open source, where you share your tools with the community and the community helps and contributes to your tool, so everyone benefits. So it's not like everyone creates their own version of something and like it's completely separate, and there's a lot of potential that's duplicated. But instead, if it's open source, then only one person has to create a thing, and then other people contribute to it, and everyone just can fork the repo. Maybe you don't agree with the direction of a repository that's going, like you don't like some features, or maybe you don't like new like privacy stuff that's on a repo, and you can just fork it and you can create your own version of that repository. and that's how Bitcoin works as well. Like Bitcoin has a lot of forks, had a lot of forks where people didn't agree on some things, and then they just split, and one went like Bitcoin Cash way, another one went to Bitcoin Core way, and so on. And that's I mean in games, it's not that relevant. It's mostly for tools, right? But it's good to know why GitHub was created. Um, yeah. And yeah, we went over this already. Like you have your version, and then you create a branch, you add commits. Actually, we didn't talk about this, but basically this is a GitHub flow, I think it's called, but it's basically how you contribute to a public repo, right? You uh, clone the repo using that URL. Basically, you will go here, code, SSH, copy this and add it to your SmartGit. So we'll be assuming that you use SmartGit. Yeah, and let's go back. You add commits, you do your changes, then you go to create a pull request, and the way you do that, you have to. Well, let's not go over this because you won't be using it anytime soon. But there's a thing which is called create a pull request, which is pretty easy to understand. Um, you can Google it if you're interested. And then the author, the original author to the of the repository, reviews your changes and just integrates it into the repo. And that's how it works. Yeah. Yeah, we use SmartGit to create checkpoints in our project, right, locally. And we use GitHub to store them in the cloud. So finally, welcome to Unity Engine. I'll try to show you some of the interface. I will try usually to not go over 2 hours, but sometimes we'll go like 3 hours. I don't think we'll do it now, but just so you know. Yeah, so let's look now into Unity Engine. And let's look into its interface. So, this part here is basically you can start your game. And I know like you'd prefer probably for me to start Unity and just play with it, but we will do that, don't worry, there's plenty of time for that. Yeah, so the way it works, you start Unity and you have all of this setup here, and I mean, yeah, I can start it, why not? Second. And I have our there's a project on GitHub which is attached to this course, and we will basically be looking through that project. But yeah, the way it works, like you create scenes and everything and whatever, and here's your scene, and here's basically what the player will see. And when you're ready, you press play and the game plays, right? So you don't have to build your code first to play it, right? So whether you're on Linux, Windows, Mac, you can play it. And basically here in the simulator, like this is, I think, a third-party package that you have to install. So you can see it on, for example, this is an iPad. And when you press play, the game will actually start here playing, right? And it's not like a real simulator. It's, I mean, real simulator. It's not, it doesn't simulate, like there's mostly like a screen and just a frame that Unity adds and everything. But there, if you want like the native simulator, that's only available like in Xcode on Mac for iOS or in Android Studio for Android. And there's also something called Genymotion, but yeah. Yeah, and let's go here. Like this in. I hope you're seeing my cursor. Like I was talking about the one first here, and about the simulator and or the game view it's called. Like if you can switch it here from simulator to game view. Uh, you see it here, like I have scene and I have game, and I can switch it to simulator, right? Yeah, and let's go back. This in the hierarchy, what this does is give you a schematic view of all of your game objects in the scene. And by default, you have a camera and a directional light. And they are these things here, right? And you can see it's, oh, I have to, yeah. You see that's the direction, it's the angle of the light. I mean, if you press play, I mean, nothing happens because there's nothing in the scene. Yeah, like everything you add will be added here, right? Like, I don't know, a cube, you add a cube, right? You add a cube. Don't worry about this. I will talk to you. I'll talk about this later. A plane. Let's create a plane, right? Something like that. Yeah. Let's see. Game view. Yeah, that's the game. And if you press play, yeah, that happens. And you can add the rigid. This is just for, yeah. You added the rigid body to that cube, and basically I'm changing its Y position forcefully, but the gravity tries to push it downwards, right? And if you're in play mode and you add something here, when you go outside, it undoes it, right? It's you have to add it here to persist. Press Ctrl S to save it. Well, I mean, yeah, let's save the scene. And you can see all of your objects are here. Let's go back to the scene. Yeah, all of your objects are here. Yeah, like you can create a lot of things. And you can parent, for example, I can parent the cube to the plane. So when I'm moving the plane, the cube is also moving. But of course, I can move the cube as well independently. And that's how you basically attach a camera to a player. You put the camera to the cube. And now when to the cube, I said. And when I move the cube, but I have to somehow, let's do this. I lock it, and I think I can see, yeah, it stays here. And when I move the cube, so this is the camera, and this is the cube. I don't know why it shows like that, not center. Yeah, I will explain this later, I think. Like, when you press the pivot here, basically you can manipulate the object using its own pivot. And the pivot is a point, it's a position in your object. That's, I mean, it kind of makes sense if you think about it. It's the origin of rotation for the object. So usually it's in the middle, but you can have it maybe here in the, and the pivot, you cannot change the pivot easily. It's there are ways to change it, but we won't go into them. Yeah, and it's usually like this should be the default pivot so that you can move the objects. And you see, like, if I move this thing, you see like here in the camera view, basically the camera moves with you, right? Basically that's how you attach a camera to your player or character or whatever. And let's go back. Let's go back. This is the hierarchy. And of course, you can have multiple scenes, but we won't go into that here. This is just a simple scene, like to be deleted, I called it, and it's here, right? And you can double click it. So, for example, I can double click this one. I'm in another scene. And I double click it, it opens another scene, right? Good. And 3, this is like the scene view, like you saw. There are these tools here, which I think I never used them because you have your from Q to the T, and T is for like you have Q, W, E, R, and T. These keys, which are like Q does this thing that I'm not using because I'm using the middle click, and you can pan your camera this way. You can use the W to switch the move tool, right? You can move it. You can press E to drag. Make sure you're not using this in the middle because it's kind of messy. You see, I cannot put it back now, right? Control Z. You just press on the axis to go like this, right? You go exactly to the axis. You can press R to scale, and you can scale it this way. And yeah, because the camera is attached to it, the camera kind of has to comply. Let's create another cube here so you can see what I mean. Oops. This is another cube, and we can move it like this. And now, like if you see how it behaves, like because the second cube is a child of this cube, it has to scale with it, right? And if you scale from here, it scales uniformly. Navigating, like the most important shortcut is Alt on Windows or Option for Mac, and you press it and you just the normal left click and you do it like this. Like this is the most useful navigation tool in the scene view. And the panning, right? Just panning with your middle mouse, and just with your mouse wheel, you can just zoom in. And there's also Alt and right click, and you can do this. I sometimes do this when this thing is not fine enough, fine to like I do something like this with Alt and right click, right? Let's go back. Like the simulator, you saw it. The game view or simulator, and yeah, you can just whatever choose something here, right? And you can let's see what it does. You see that the camera is attached to it, and basically it goes that. And you can display the safe area, and the safe area means like where's safe to put your UI, because for example you have this punch through camera here and you don't want any buttons there, so you have this safe area for your UI, right? And you can rotate it like this, right? You can see, and it's basically simulating how it will look in your target device. Good. Inspector, yeah, inspector, like we've already used it. I think I will go through these individually later, but let's briefly go over it. So basically the inspector, what the inspector does is like, it's the most configurable part of Unity, or the most, basically the place where you configure options for your object. So if you have this cube, what does it have? It has a transform, and this is like, so an object has components, right? So you define behaviors of an object using components. So and each component can mean anything you want. You can create your own components as well. But each object has this transform component, which controls the position, rotation, So basically, you can do it from here as well. You can set a very specific value like 60, right? And 0 here and 30 here or whatever, right? The scale, you can scale your object. And I mean, if you have it on local here, you will scale your objects locally, like uh, perpendicular to their faces in case of a cube. But you can do it also globally, I think. No, you cannot scale globally. Yeah, you can just move it globally. So for example, if you want to move it globally in the sense that you want to move it parallel to the ground, you see it, you can do it like this. But if you want to move it locally, you can move it like this, right? Along its axis, right? Like along its own local x axis. Like yeah, there's a convention that you see here, like the red axis is x, the green axis is y, and z is blue. Yeah, and in Unity, z is the forward direction. It's just a convention, like you can do it the other way, but in Unity is this convention. It's good to follow it. Z is forward, x is to the right, and y is upwards. Yeah, and we were talking about inspector. So we have components. We have the transform component, which every object has. And so you select an object and you inspect it here. You have a mesh filter, and what this does is it defines the shape of the object, and you can choose like whatever mesh you want. Like you see, I changed the mesh, for example. I don't know what these things are here. A capsule. Yeah, see it here. Like you basically change the shape of it. And when your 3D artist sends you the file, the 3D file, right? I don't know, the character that you're playing it, uh, or whatever, and you're basically adding it here. You'll add it to your folder, and you'll add it here. Good. And this only defines the shape of your object. And the mesh renderer is the one that actually displays it, because there are two there are two separate functions, right? One function is of defining the shape, and one is displaying the shape. And to display the shape, basically, and you need a second, so I can increase the brightness. So to display the shape, you have lots of options here. Okay, I won't go into them right now, but you can basically change the material. Yeah, like you can change the material. We'll go over this later. Yeah, you can change the material. You can change some colors, properties, how it responds to light, and all of that. And that's what the mesh renderer does. And the collider is something that defines the shape of your object. So yeah, I don't think you're seeing it, but it's this green box here. This is the collider, and yeah, usually let's put it back to a cube. This is usually like tries to match the actual visual representation as much as possible, but yeah, you can have the collider be bigger than the actual. For example, you see, like I press this button here, and I can edit the collider so that, for example, if I make it too big, the object will collide. I mean, the physics engine will just use this collider as okay. It will say that's the shape of it, and I will try to collide it using those things. Actually, yeah, we have to deparent it, so it's like a standalone object now, and let's add it a rigid body fast so that it can drop. you can see like it uses the collider that we've created, right? And that's useful for a lot of things, right? And also when you have a very complex shape, uh, you won't basically have a very complex collider. You'd have an approximation of that collider because basically just it's less maths to do, right? And it's less processing to do where you have just a very simpler collider. Okay, and yeah, basically this is in the inspector. Like in there are like you can create scripts to respond to events and all of that. Then you basically here like new script and whatever. But I'll show you that later. Um, yeah, and this part here is the part where you see your assets. So you see this is the folder, and if I go here, you will see like this is actually the Unity folder, and here this is the git ignore. You see that we talked about before, and all of these things like has to be ignored, like cs proj files, sln project, sln files, and so on. Sorry, I didn't respond to Colin here. So you asked, so you can use git lens through Visual Code instead of SmartGit. Yeah, you can do that. But for your personal project, at the beginning, like you can use SmartGit. Like I used SmartGit for a very long time before paying for it because I was not making any money in my first years when I started with Unity. So um, yeah, it's a bit easier, but yeah. I mean, you can try both and see what you like more. Um, yeah, like you can use Visual Studio Code and GitLens like for life and be good with it. Like yeah. Um, good. So we were here in the assets. So this folder is this thing here, right? And this is the project that's attached to our course. And basically I have one for some of the sessions because not all of them need some visual representation here. And yeah, in each of them I have like some let's see, scene have been modified. Yeah, it asks me to save this one. It has this thing here, or like the scene, some plugin, some animator assets and stuff. So these are just files. Each of these things are files. So for example, this is an image, right? That represents a frame. And these meta files are things that Unity creates. Don't worry about them. Also, I don't know why they are called png.png. Yeah, let's go like this. Well, anyway. Yeah, these are files. This is a script, which see here, just don't worry about it, but I briefly go over it. Like if you press space, then you get the animator and set the trigger jump and it jumps, right? That's what this script does, right? And it's an asset, it's a file, right? It's a file with some code in it. And you basically select your player and you move this here, right? You see it's already here, player jump script, and it's a component, right? The script is a component. And you can have 1,000 scripts if you want on an object. Yeah. And that's the assets part. So in the assets, you have your sounds, images, animation things. Like you can create, when you create like a new animation, Unity creates a file that represents the animation, that the configuration for that animation. And yeah, you create a lot of things, the scenes. So for example, this is a scene, which is a file with the .unity extension. And there's also like, yeah, like this, just I try to just briefly go over it. There's also the console. So any errors that you have in your scripts or any messages, yeah, everything like this is like the terminal, right? When something happens, so you're looking at your game or playing it, whatever. But when something important happens, or when you log something, right? When you like you want to debug something and you like when you press the button, you want to show a message, it will show here like button pressed or whatever. Um, yeah, I don't know if I like start this, if there will be anything here. Yeah, I think there will be. Yeah, I press space and don't worry about this. Yeah, there's nothing in the console, but basically you do like debug.log and you'll see I'll show you now. I'll try to show you now. And at the same time, let's look here. Yeah, and at 9 here, here's the status bar, and you'll basically see things like when your scripts compile and other things here, like basically the status. Um, yeah, let's see if I can find. No, no. Yeah, well, I have to set up the shortcuts here, but uh, oh, I already have this. So yeah, for example, this is a very small and simple script which you add to a button and then you hook it up in Unity. And when you when you press the button, this function is called, and basically this message is printed. And like n is initially 0 by default, and then you increment it and you'll see like button clicked 1 times, and then if you click it again, button clicked 2 times, and so on. And basically you will see it here. You will see it here, right? Button clicked 1 times, whatever. um yeah, that's like the brief of the Unity interface. um yeah, see it here. So basically there are 3 message types. Like there's um, informational messages, warning messages, and error messages, like 3 levels. And usually when you do debug.log, it's just informational message with this symbol. Like this is a warning message, and yeah, it's something internal to Unity. Um, yeah, this is a way to view the project uh, tab or window, yeah. And you can do it like this, 2 column layout, where you like select a folder and then you see what's inside it, right? Like in here. But I don't really like it this way. I mean, I know a lot of people use it this way, and I think it's the default one, but I just want to see, okay, when I look at this here, do I see everything? Because if a folder is empty, for example, let's see, create folder. I mean, yeah, it shows like this. I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess I just got used to it too much. So, yeah, you can see an empty folder like this. But I'm used to this 1 column layout, and I'm using like this. And I mean, if I want to, I can just add a new tab, and I add like this, a new project, and I add it, I don't know, maybe like this. And yeah, like if I want some folder to show, and maybe here I want to go to some other place, and I can lock this one, and then I just can go like here. And yeah, like, the more complex your project gets, the more tabs like that you might want to use, um like shortcuts, right? Yeah, okay. Exactly what I said. You can see more information at once here, right? But yeah, it's personal choice. Yeah, you can see the path if that's important for you. Yeah, it's this searching thing, like, but first you have to know what assets type there are, right? And um blue manually search. Yeah. This is available in the one column layout, right? Or oh, I had the lock. Two column layout, right? Or yeah, here like all materials, all prefabs, whatever. And I mean, if you're in the one column layout, you just do like the texture. Yeah, and you see all the like images are textures, and these are like PNG, whatever, right? Or you can do, is it sound? Oh no, it's audio clip. And these are audio clips, right? Right. Um, Basically there's like each asset type has a you can name a type for that name in Unity. And you'll see in code, like there's actually some code that you write when you represent a sound, you write like audio clip for sound. Or for an image, you write texture or sprite. And the difference between texture and sprite is a bit more nuanced. Basically, the sprite has more information in it, but they represent images. They both represent images. Oops. Okay. So at this URL, you'll see the support project, and just you can just type it or click it or whatever. I'll write it here as well. And you can just clone it and have it locally. And no. And yeah, we'll use it in some of the lessons, and yeah, we in others we'll just have an empty project and we'll go over it. Yeah, in the next lessons, like we will go over these, like in, for example, in day 5, we'll do some animations, and we'll be talking about them, and you'll like there will be instructions on how to create everything that's here, but the project already has it. And yeah, you can be lazy if you want to just look at it, but if you want to really learn, like you should just go along and create stuff together, and we'll be creating like right click, like create animation and whatever, right? And yeah, you will just follow along. And I think that's it. So see you later. This was a bit, oh, it's quite on time, like just 5 minutes over the usual 2 hours that I look at having. Um yeah, so I think most of our sessions will be just 2 hours, and some will be 3 hours. Um yeah, a big chunk of this one was just version control, and yeah, I tried to strike the right balance between what you will need in the future and what you will need now. So like try to not really remember everything, just keep some space for the things that you really need now. And yeah, like maybe you'll use like 30% of the version control things that I've talked about. But yeah, in the future when you will come to this recording and watch it, I really encourage you to watch it like again, and maybe you can skip to the boring parts. Just maybe you can put it on 1.25 speed, x speed. Um, and those things are really, really useful. And like I said, like in gaming, you kind of, a lot of people don't really do things the right way, because it's easier to get started. But if you have this knowledge, like I think you have like superpowers, because you have the knowledge from someone that uses good processes and like the knowledge for from a game developer, and when you combine them, that you're basically leveling up. You're like getting started as a game developer. Basically, in you get on the right path directly, right? You don't have to make a lot of mistakes and then learn from them and then choose this path. Um, yeah, so we've done version control and Unity's interface, and yeah, like whatever questions you would have, or if you need help or whatever about this session or course, just write on Discord, and yeah, we'll talk there. Thanks for attending, and see you next time. Have a nice evening. See you. What? Can you give us the link for the design document we need to make? Uh, yeah, I can give you the link again. Sure. Uh, basically, I have to. I will send you a list of a few games, like maybe 3 games, or if that's too much, maybe 2 games, or maybe, yeah, maybe 3 games. So like there's uh basically Duck Invaders, and I have to see where that one is. Like this is the so this is the template. This is the template GDD, and there's also, but I have to see, how did I find that document? I don't know. um Projects. There was a document for projects, and I have to see where is it. Oh, yeah. And this is the list of projects, but just try to not get attached to any of them. I will. I mean, yeah, I'll have to think about like 3 projects that we have to choose, and so that all of you will choose one of those projects, and so you can work on it, and I can just grade it at the end. And let me post this one as well. Yeah, basically out of those 3 games, you will choose one which you will implement, which you like. For like there will be a test, a multiple choice test at the end, and a grade for your project that you've created, right? And the one that you'll choose, it should be something like, the more projects, the more types of projects there are, the more time it will take me to verify them, or the harder it will be to like grade you on them. But it really depends on how many people will stay to the end, and maybe like you can just create a different project. Like each of you might want to create a different project, but I just want to like sandbox it in a way where the project is simple enough so you can create it, but uh advanced enough so that you feel good about it, right? And let me post the link. So this is the link for, and I will send. Okay, I will send a list of potential projects on Discord, I think. Or I mean, actually, the process. Let's make it this way. So, out of these projects here, you can choose 2 or 3 of them and just let me know, or you can put it on. Yeah, like we have the spreadsheet here. We have the spreadsheet, and 1 second. So we have that spreadsheet with presence, right? We have this thing here. So you can just go here, and of course everyone can edit it, but I trust you don't do stupid things. Chosen game. Chosen games. Oops. Choose 3 from. Okay. Where is it? This thing. Anyway. Yeah, and basically you choose 3 games in order of preference, and that will be something that you look forward to, right? You will look forward to implement one of those games, and the sooner you choose it, the easier it would be. It will be to remember things that I teach, because you will immediately say that, oh, I know this thing will help me to do my game, to create my game, right? This thing will help me, and that's like your instant it's instant motivation boost, or instant reward, right? And if we go over the project list again, but briefly, like you have like Bomberman, you have but what I think, what I'd suggest, let's see, Arcanoid, or Brick Breaker, I think it's called. Like there's a lot of games that use this.
No, rime multitask.
No, I don't want to see any. Wait a second, I will just use my own. But I think, no, I really want to show you this. 1 second. So this was not this one, yeah, this one. Let's see. I'll open this here. And yeah, basically Arcanoid is this thing here. No, not this one. So many windows. You see this thing. So I think this thing, I mean, we don't have to create these things as well, right? And I think you'll really learn a lot of things if you create a game like this. So this is like a good choice that I recommend. So that's Arcanoid, and let's see other things. 2D racing. Let's copy the link. No. Oh, so many. Let me close some of the windows.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Ultimate Racing 2.
So you can do probably something like this, and there's a simple script to make your like camera follow your object like this. There's even like a third-party asset, Cinemachine, which I briefly mentioned the last time. And I mean, you can create a 3D one as well. Like there are tools for that. But if you want like your first game, you should be kind of ashamed of your first game. You shouldn't uh, aim to have like a really awesome game at the first, because you would sacrifice a lot for visuals, right? Like you would here to learn, right? And you'll learn a lot of things if you create like a simple game like this, right? And then you can create like a more visually appealing game, like if visuals are important for you. And that's what I would suggest. Like, yeah, a game like this would be really like interesting to implement. And I mean, you can even create AIs here, like, AIs in the classical sense in the games, like the bots. All right, let's see other things. I think this one was not.
Jocul
Don't start. I think this one was removed. Yeah, this is a very simple game as well, like a maze. Right? You see, it's even made in Unity, in older Unity, because this blue background is from older Unity versions. Yeah, and it's just a very simple game. Like if you're like an absolute beginner, this would be something that will also teach you a lot. Because there are menus, there's a timer, and all of that. Like that's really uh that there's no issue in creating that game, right? There's no don't look at it like, man, it's too simple. Or I mean, you can create something like this with a lot of things, but no, I mean, you can create a pool game. So let me do like suggestions so that recommended. Arcanoid, can be, yeah, version 1's better. Yeah, you can do pool, which is it will be like it's a 3D game basically, right? It happens like in a 2D plane, but the visuals are 2D, right? Let's copy it, put it here on my no ads account. Yeah, and this is pool. Like it's easy to do. I mean, it's easy enough. Yeah, pool. It's a really good start. Pool. You can create a snake game. I mean, the classical snake, or not. I mean, the classical snake or the one that's here. Pinball. Yeah, you can create a pinball if you want as well, but I'm not putting it here. You can have a 3D tank battle. Yeah, you can create actually this one as well if you want. 3D tank battle. Motocross. This might be a bit complex enough in the physics, because you have to intervene in the physics a bit. Like, you cannot be completely chaotic physics, right? You somehow have to simulate physics in some, and like sandbox it in some way, like you know, to not have like completely realistic physics. You have to have it to arcadify it somehow, right? Um, yeah, you can do a fighting game. Um, yeah, you need like an animator to um, yeah, you can do a fighting game. You can do a fighting game. Yeah, you can do this thing, magic jewelry or whatever it's called. It has a lot of names. Uh, is that how it's spelled? Poker. I think it. Yeah, I think it will take a lot of time because the game rules are a bit more complex than just, I don't know, for example, Arcanoid. But you will not like learn a lot from it, right? Sniper shooter is something that I recommend for those wanting to create like a 3D shooter, and I put it really up here, like um yeah, I really recommend you to try this one, because I saw like most of you chose 3D shooters. I mean, not most of you, like 30% of you wanted like to create a 3D shooter, and this would be like a really good start for something like this, right? And you start first with of course, you won't have the cinematic thing, or at least not at the beginning. Yeah, I really like it because you stay, you don't have to move. You just stay in the same place and you just fight people, and you just have to find. Um, Sniper shooter. And I mean, these things I think are enough. And if you want to create another game, like a game that's not on this list, just let me know. You just write it there on the just write it here on the presence list, right? And maybe put a link if it's not completely obvious what's about, and I will just you know, tell you about it. I'll approve it or not, because if I think it's too complex or too um unuseful for you, then I would like you to use create another project. So because I want to avoid a case where you're working on this project and at the end of the course you're just halfway through it, because that's you might like it because you might have come to this course or with already with a plan to continue a game you have started, or to create a game that you already planned, and but you can do that afterwards. So like try to focus on just one thing and just learning, and that's why like through a smaller project you can basically learn a lot of things. And not only that, but you have something to show as your first thing in your portfolio, if you want like to have a portfolio to maybe work somewhere or whatever. And yeah, like the sweet spot is a simple project from which you can learn a lot, and which gives you your initial confidence boost to try your second project, right? And yeah, I'll keep an eye on this, and just you can DM me on Discord. Yeah, and I will just write it there, or just if it's nothing private, just write it there directly on Discord, and I will reply, right? So I posted the heading one, the link, this thing, um and what else? I'll post also this one, but it's I have a shortened link as well, but I'll post this one directly. let's see if you, yeah, I saw there are some questions here and I didn't address them. Second. Good. The expectation. Okay. No, there's no rule like Colin asks if the expectation is to not just clone that game, but to make our own, correct? And um, it doesn't matter if you like clone a game completely or create your own. The purpose is to just, like I said before, just to create it and learn how to do it. Because actually, cloning games, like, it's a very good life hack. You can uh clone it and you learn it, and it's, you basically don't have to consume mental resources to think about what and if to do, right? What to do or if to do. You already have that figured out by someone else. The game is already set up, and you just have to translate it again into code. But yeah, of course, if you want to be extra proud about your project, um, of course, it helps to have some personal touch added in, right, in the mix. And yeah, like, but to answer your question, like, it's not required for the course, but if you want to create something that uh, is more different, or something that's different enough from the current from a set game that's currently popular or whatever, that's good, that's better. um yeah, I don't know why I haven't talked about where's the platformer. Oh, I completely skipped the platformer. Yeah, so the platform, let's see, this thing. Wait, oh, not that type here. By the way, I really commend this extension. Return the dislikes so you can see them. Yeah, this is like a platform with I see, with some dialogue there. Yeah, I know it's quite complex, but yeah, you can have like 3D characters here and so on. And of course, like the most iconic platform or even game is Mario. Right? Yeah. Memories. So yeah, platformer. Let's put it somewhere. I don't know. I am putting it here because people also wanted the racing. Yeah, that's a good observation. Yeah. Um. So yeah, choose one from these ones, and if you have another idea, just write it there, and I will tell you, like, yeah, it's totally fine if you do that, or no, it's too complex or whatever, right? Yeah, and if you have any questions now, you can ask. If not, I will answer them on Discord when you will have them. And let's keep this tab open so I have it there. Yeah, so I guess we're done here. We're 1 minute over 9 in the Eastern European time. Thanks for being here. It was a longer one than before. I guess see you tomorrow, right? See you. Bye.